What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Oskar Blues Brewery, and they're out of Longmont, Colorado, and this is their Barrel-Aged 10 FIDY, the 2019 vintage. So this is an Imperial Stout that is aged in bourbon barrels, comes in at 12.5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in the time of review. This can is approximately 6 weeks old. So I've had Barrel-Aged 10 FIDY before, but I haven't had the 2019 vintage. I had it back when it was in the stove pipe cans, which I think was every year prior to this one. And just to be honest with you, 19.2 ounces of an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels at 12.5%. Pretty much, I would say it's too much for most people. Maybe like a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, Paul over at PaTroll News, maybe he actually said he was disappointed that they're in 12-ounce cans now. He liked the bigger cans, but at the end of the day, for somebody like myself, this is more than I need. This is perfect. This is, I wouldn't say more than I need. This is perfect for what I'm looking for. 12 ounces of a 12.5% Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels, yeah. Now, if you want to share, if it's a special release, you want to share it, yeah, sure, the stovepipe cans were good times, but for like individual use, this is what I want to do. So anyway, let's crack it open. I really like that they're in 12-ounce cans, like if you couldn't tell. And yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy this one. I saw a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber Kyle over at No Hype Beer Reviews review this one within the past couple weeks, and he was really digging on it. So yeah, I've had it before. I've enjoyed it. But I don't want to say I have a controversial opinion, but I do have an opinion that I think differs from most people when it comes to this beer specifically. And we'll talk about it at the end if I still have the same opinion. So yeah, pitch black, about a finger and a half of the straight up dark brown colored head, super creamy looking. That looks fucking fantastic. That looks like a 12.5% Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels. Let's get a nose. Yeah, it smells awesome. So the bourbon screaming right from the top. Like I said, this is only 6 weeks old, so super fresh. But yeah, a lot of peppery bourbon, just a lot of sweeter bourbon. There's a little bit of like an oak tannin kind of popping in, vanilla as well. The base beer on this one, chocolate, roasted malts, coffee. There's a little bit of like a char kind of note to the base of this beer typically for me. So that's kind of in here too, like a char, could be from the barrel, could just be from the base beer. When it comes to 10 FIDY, I think it's one of the best Imperial Stouts, just like no frills Imperial Stouts that you can buy. And the barrel-aged version here, you're pretty much getting that base beer, but with the bourbon on top of it. Can't really tell this is 12.5%. This has been out of my fridge. I put it in the fridge. I know, Paul, settle down. Put it in the fridge. This has been out of the fridge for over an hour now. So we're probably looking at like 60 degrees. Maybe not quite room temp, but close to it. It's like 64, 65 down here. So probably like in the 60-degree range, should be fine. There's like sweeter caramel, almost caramelized sugars now in the nose. Marshmallow is what I'm getting. Oh, marshmallow. Oh yeah, definite marshmallow. Holy shit. I've seen some friends like Jeff and the aforementioned Kyle talk about like toasted coconut. Not really getting that on those, more of that like toasted marshmallow, if anything. Yeah, it smells fucking absolutely awesome. Honestly, this smells a little better than I remember it smelling, so let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Fucking tasty. Toasted marshmallow for days. I'm getting toasted marshmallow. More often than not, I get marshmallow when places use vanilla, and this doesn't have vanilla in it. It's just the barrel. Definite marshmallow. Crazy. Body on this one, medium to full body, so pretty much appropriate. Maybe a touch thin, but appropriate. The mouthfeel, soft, smooth, creamy. There's carbonation, but slightly undercarbed to give you like a really nice, smooth kind of character to it. Man, the base beer is delicious. Like I said, 10 FIDY, one of the best Imperial Stouts in my opinion, American Imperial Stouts. But there's chocolate. There's a nice complexity of chocolate. There's sweet dark chocolate. There's cocoa powder. There's baker's chocolate. Nice varying mix of sweeter chocolates mixing in with like more bittering chocolates on the forefront. Big charry roasted malt kind of character as well. There's coffee. There's molasses. And that's right at the forefront. Passes through the palate. The barrel kicks in. And I'm getting oak tannins. I'm getting vanilla that is producing, again, a toasted, when you say toasted marshmallow, just like a marshmallow character. The toasted marshmallow character kind of can be a marshmallow character in conjunction with that charry kind of beginning of the palate. But it's producing a slight toasted marshmallow, more of a straight-on marshmallow, right middle of the palate. as it continues through, it's sweet. It's sweet pretty much about 2/3 of the way through the palate, but on the back of the palate, there's a pretty substantial dryness to my palate anyway. Yeah, it's awesome because the first 2 or 3 seconds you take a sip of it, you're like, man, tons of complexity to the malt character. There's tons of complexity to the beer in general, and it's sweet. But that last third of the palate, the oak tannin hits, the alcohol hits, and the dryness of the beer kind of hits, and it has like a semi-dry kind of finish, almost full-on dry finish. So all the sweetness hits up front, but it doesn't have a ton of residual sweetness on the back of the palate. So this is a very balanced barrel-aged beer to me, anyway. There's a slight to, I would say, mild to moderate bitterness we'll go with. The one thing about Ten FIDY itself is it's a moderately bitter beer, I find. It's not super bitter or anything, but it has a decent bitterness to it. I think the barrels kind of, knock that down. Also, mid-palate, I was talking about like the barrel itself. It has a really nice sweet, like almost bourbon kind of kick halfway through the palate. And I'm also getting like caramel and toffee and like caramelized sugars as well. The alcohol in this one, man, this is deceptively drinkable. Maybe 10% drinking this one. It hides the booze quite well. 12.5%, I was anticipating like a huge warming into my chest, my stomach. Not really. Slight warming in the chest, stomach. On the palate, not really. Could be the alcohol kind of bringing that dryness to the back of the palate. But outside of that, like there's no astringency. I can't taste the alcohol. Now here's the thing. And this is where I said, oh, the beer, I'm controversial. Fucking clickbait. Is there clickbait? No. I've always found that to me, and this is to me, and I'm sure a lot of you will disagree, but I feel Ten FIDY, the base, is an upper echelon, like approaching world-class Imperial Stout, if not world-class for a lot of people out there. So I've always found, and I've had the barrel-aged version numerous times, I've always found the barrel-aged version to be delicious. So forewarning, I'm saying it's delicious, just laying it out there. But I don't think it necessarily makes the base beer better, if that makes any sense. It's a different beer. Don't get me wrong. This is a different beer than the base. You bring in that barrel character, and it has changed the beer immensely. But what I'm saying to you is, would I rather have this beer over the base beer? And I can honestly say that at this point, I don't know. But I don't think so if you take everything into consideration. Availability, price point. I don't think I would want this beer more than the base beer. And that's, again, me personally. And that's not knocking this beer because rating-wise on the Barrel-Aged Ten FIDY 2019 vintage, this gets, what does this get? This gets a 4.5 out of 5 all day. This gets a 4.5 out of 5 all day because it's fucking a delicious beer. I think the base beer, for me, pretty much a 4.5, somewhere in that range. But what would I pick? If you put it in front of me, I'd probably take the barrel-aged variant depending upon whether or not I wanted a barrel-aged beer at that point. But if you, again, take everything into consideration, you put 2 beers in front of me and I can get the base Ten FIDY for $4 or this for almost $6 a can. I can get the Ten FIDY whenever I want or this whenever it gets released. I'm going to go with the base Ten FIDY. And that, I think, is me basically giving props to Oskar Blues for brewing an absolutely phenomenal Imperial Stout. Because nowadays, with so many fucking crazy styles, and nowadays, a lot of people, and hey, I'm not going to exclude myself from this because I'm in this conversation, but if you see an Imperial Stout that just says, here's an Imperial Stout, and then you see an Imperial Stout with like 4 different adjuncts and it's a pastry beer, what are you going to buy? You're probably going to buy the pastry beer. If you're going to go with an Imperial Stout or Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels, which one are you going to buy? Probably the one in bourbon barrels. So I'm as guilty as anybody else when it comes to like deciding what I want to buy and review and drink and everything. But Ten FIDY is such an amazing base beer that I don't think this one for me makes me want to go buy this one over the base beer all that often. So even though I'm giving props to this beer and I give it a 4.5 out of 5 and it's delicious and I like this vintage and I like the toasted marshmallow and the whole 9, the base Ten FIDY is fucking amazing and I have to give props to it. I didn't do a side-by-side here because I did do a whodunit review, which is the blind/mystery beer reviews. And it was the guys over at Nerd Sense, Sean, I think specifically, actually sent me Ten FIDY as a mystery beer. And I reviewed it and I loved it. And I thought it was amazing. And I almost guessed it, like kind of guessed it, but not really. And it just proved to me that it's a fucking amazing base beer. So this is an awesome beer. Base Ten FIDY, though, is just as good to my palate. And that might sound crazy, but that's just where I am. Anyway, Price and availability, wherever you see Oskar Blues, you probably can get your hands on this one. I would assume they used to come, again, in the stovepipe cans, 19.2 ounces, I believe, and now they're in the 12-ounce can. So if you see an older stovepipe can, pretty sure it's an older variant or older vintage, although I'm not positive. They might still be kicking out the stovepipe cans for the 2019, maybe even going forward, but they're definitely in 12-ounce cans now. And price point, I paid $5.59 for that can. So you're talking, I think it's, in my area, $20, $22 a 4-pack. Which is a fucking great deal for a beer that is as good as this. Now, the stovepipe cans, here's the thing. This is the reason why I like on 12-ounce cans, kind of like the reason why I always think bombers, 22-ounce bombers, are a ripoff. When it was in the stovepipe cans for 19.2 ounces, in my area, it's anywhere from $12 to $15 for those cans, depending on where you bought it and whatnot. This was $5.59 for a 12-ounce can, so you're getting 7.2 ounce less than the stovepipe, but you're also paying less than half the price. So this is a way better value than the stovepipe can, so I'm glad they went to a 12-ounce format, because I will buy this one again because it is a tasty beer, and 10 FIDY in general is a fucking fantastic. Here's the thing. I want to drink some of the variants of the barrel-aged. I don't think I've had any of them, and if I did, I don't remember them. So hopefully at some point get my hands on, like, I think they did a vanilla and a coffee variant and a couple other ones. So yeah, anyway, this is going to be a longer review, and I'm okay with that, because I think a beer like this deserves it. I think the base beer, like I said, deserves it, and I think just in general, Oskar Blues deserves it because they make some fucking fantastic beers. So if you've had this one before, specifically 2019 vintage, but any of the other vintages, post a comment, let me know what you think about it. Be curious to hear everybody's opinion on this one. And again, I still think the base beer is better than this one. And I should say the base beer. I think the base beer is just as good as this one. I think this, here's how I would say it. I don't think this improves upon the base beer for my palate enough to pay a premium for this beer. That's where it is with me. And again, it's no slight to this beer because it's fucking fantastic. It's just, the base beer is just amazing. So anyway, gonna shut down this long, rambling on, stupid review. If you've watched to this point, 2 thumbs up to you. Maybe post something in the comments like Joe's an idiot, because I am. Appreciate everybody stopping by. To the next one. Cheers.